We are really stuck in the sand. We can't get out of here.
Last week we got into some action as we were standing aground and couldn't get off the dock at the same time as a big low pressure was arriving. We prepared the boat for strong winds as the storm Evert was moving towards the Swedish west coast. Winds up to 50 knots were expected.
I'm just walking over to the harbor office, see if we can pay the harbor fee and if the toilets and everything is open here. It looks like you pay everything online and they will send you an email or a text message with the codes for the showers. It was kind of cool that bad omen that we saw the other day, but it is so correct. It was 48 hours since we saw that halo around the sun, and tonight the storm is coming in. So that's a pretty good marker, because I've seen that a lot of times also out at sea, and there is always bad weather coming after that when you have these ice crystals around the sun.
And on time, Evert was here.
Life on a boat is a little different from life on land when it's very windy. So even if we are now like safely moored in a harbor, we're still very exposed to the wind. We're having it on the side now. So good thing is that we chose the good side of the dock, so we're pushed away from the dock, but it's there's a lot of noise from the lines, like creaking. Like when you live on a boat, you're so much more a part of nature and weather than on land. Because all this noises, sounds, you have to think differently, like compared to living on land. So I was working now and had planned to do voiceovers, but that's a little tricky now to do it with all these sounds, because that will come up in the microphone. So I have to figure out a way to do it. I guess I will do it tomorrow instead, like with a blanket over. I think it's hard to imagine what life on a boat is like when you're used to life on land, because there you don't notice anything. You don't hear really when the wind is howling or
Well, now Vera woke up.
I think she's also getting a little bit affected with all the noises.
We saw some wind gusts of 52 knots.
Pretty grim morning. It's been snowing like crazy tonight, but luckily most of it is gone now, but the temperature has gone down a bit, so it's around 0 now. And we have just on the other side of the island there's 45 knots steady now, gusting to 50, and snow and rain. So all night we've been waking up because big lumps of snow and ice been falling from the rig on the deck. We big thumps. Boom. We had a few days like this when I sailed through between Antarctica and South Georgia Island, and I never forget that. That's it gets so miserable when you're sitting outside and you have this wet snow whipping you in the face.
The next morning, it was like it never happened. It was dead calm and the sky was blue.
This fort is called Södra Strandverket, or the South Coastal Fort. And it was built in the 1850s to protect the inner harbor here in Marstrand. It was built at a time when steamers were getting more and more common, so they needed some closer protection, closer to the actual harbor, so they can protect the inlet here, because steamers were more maneuverable than sail ships. I think there was close to 200 men in here and around 100 cannons.
It's really spring weather today, like 5+, hardly any wind, and for the first time I've seen some flowers come up through the ground. In the summer, the harbor here is one of the most popular on the whole coast, and it's like always crowded, really hard to find a spot. And so yeah, it's so popular, this place. Has always been, it's like, they call it like the sailing mecca of, I don't know, of the whole Sweden, but at least on the west coast.
The sailing attraction to Marstrand has much to do with the sailing regatta Match Cup Sweden that has been held here for 26 years.
Oj!
On the top of the hill lies the majestic Karlstens fortress. It dates back to 1658, when the construction began.
Wow, this is big. It took 200 years to build this, and I can understand why, really. Because they didn't take the stone from here. They brought the stone to the island, and they had prisoners carrying all these stones up from the harbor up to here. And these prisoners, they were locked in irons, so they had that weight as well to carry on.
The lockups were used to prevent the prisoners from escaping. The Iron Crown was the heaviest lockup and weighed up to 36 kilos.
Some of the walls are 16 meters thick in granite. Imagine the work. It's amazing, really. Yeah, to be able to build the fort, they actually had to implement a new sentence in the penal system. So you could be sentenced to a lifetime of hard work here. Marstrand's work, it was called. And some years, half of the prisoners died.
Ever since King Oscar II spent his last 20 summers here on Marstrand in the late 1800s, the island has been a place for the rich and famous.
Having a new engine is an extra good reason for not letting the engine room get all dirty. So every now and then I try to make a quick clean.
Hej du! Ska du vara med här?
And I have found that baby wipes removes dirt like magic. Today we're heading to a neighboring island not far from here. It's about 2 nautical miles, I think. And it's supposed to be a really cool place.
Cutest little boat. That must be like an old ferry boat. That is such a Pippi Longstocking house. It's flat calm out today. So we're just motoring these 2.5 nautical miles. Very short distance today.
We're heading to a place called Åstol. It looks pretty cool on the chart. It's like the whole island. There's a crack in the island and there's where the harbor is.
The biggest advantage with winter sailing is that we never have to think about if we'll find an empty spot in the harbor, because they're pretty much always empty this time of the year. I mean, this place is so beautiful. It's so cute.
Hej! Oj, vad hon springer! Out walking with our toddler on the leash on the dock. I mean, this place must be packed during summer. I'm not even sure how do you get a spot here? Because it's not very big, right?
No.
Now we're on the west side of the island. And we're standing in like the bathing spot. So they actually fill this whole place up with water from the sea. And right here where I'm standing, they have a water slide. So it makes it, I guess, much more accessible for kids to swim. Because I don't think there is any beach on this island. So there's just these big boulder rocks going down in the water. Johan is flying the drone, so we're throwing rocks while we wait for him. Whee! Bra den. Like, our plan for this year was initially to sail south in Europe down to the Mediterranean and sail there during the summer, and then continue south to the Canary Islands, maybe through Morocco, and then cross the Atlantic to the Caribbean, which we are really longing to go back to. I think it will be just fantastic for Vera to spend so much time at the beach. I mean, there are so many beaches to choose from over there. But it's already March and we're still in Sweden, and it doesn't look very bright situation in the world or in Europe. So I think now we just have to wait in Sweden and hope for the vaccine. But I'm not sure we'll make it down to the Mediterranean to spend the season there. So we might just go a little bit slower along the Atlantic coast. and then sail to the Canary Islands. Both Johan and I, we really missed the like long distance sailing community, like meeting other sailors in the harbor, in Sharon Anchorage. But I'm not complaining on a day like today, where it feels like spring is arriving and the sun is warming and we're at this beautiful place. That's a pretty nice picnic table. Watching the sunset from here. Wow. So it actually does remind me a little bit of Cape Verde, when we went to that cool, the cool rock formations where the ocean waves were just coming in. São Nicolau, what was the name of that island?
Vad händer där bak?
Like most of the islands here in the archipelago, the majority of the houses are vacation and summer houses, and there is just a small group of people living here year-round. But during the heydays of fishing in the 1960s, around 500 people lived on Åstol, and more than 20 large trawlers had their home port here. The beautiful weather lasted all the way into the evening and night, with moonlight and a starry sky. Hope you enjoyed this episode. All the filming and editing was made by us. And if you would like to support our videos, we'd be so happy. Thanks for watching.